Guys, my mic was off. What is going on, guys? Welcome in. This is SKOL'd Report exclusively on the Purple Code, and this is the second pregame show. I wasn't able to do a pregame show necessarily last week because I was at the game, but here we are. I'm here with Mike Castellino, also the Purple Code, and we're getting ready for preseason game number 2 against 49ers. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, SK. I'm excited. Another week of Vikings football. I can never complain.
Yes, gotta be happy. That much closer to week 1 in the season opener. I can't wait. I know you guys can't wait. And we're gonna get down to things. We're gonna get into a, I guess, quote unquote injury report, if you want to call it that. Just kind of talk who's starting, who's not, who we're gonna see on the field today. And then we're gonna go over a couple other things, some storylines. But before we get to that, we gotta give a shout out to our sponsors, obviously. And first and foremost, if you're looking for some bomb food in the Minneapolis area, be sure to give our guys Rinaldi's Pizza and Pasta a call, or just come on in. They're located at 1569 Wood Lane Drive, Woodbury, Minnesota. Mention the Purple Code or TPC, and they will take care of you. And also, our new sponsor, Nautica Bowls. Be sure to check them out. Look them up on Facebook. Look them up on Twitter, Instagram. Get yourself a nice little Nautica Bowl out there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I know I'm going to get me something while it's still somewhat warm out there in September for opening kickoff. So I'm going to stop by and get me a little nice healthy bowl, try and get my figure right. But let's get down to it, Mike. We got the 49ers coming to town today, and they bring in Trey Lance, who is from Minnesota. I think we're actually going to see a drive or two of him today. I wouldn't be surprised. But let's start with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'll ask you, is Kirk going to play? You think Kirk is going to play today?
I do. I do think Kirk's going to play today.
Oh, you think Kirk is going to play today? Okay. Now, you think he's the only legitimate starter that's going to go out there and play outside of maybe, obviously Justin Jefferson's not going to play. I don't think Adam Thielen's going to play. Dalvin Cook, I don't think he's going to play. And then our two ends, Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith, I don't think they're going to be playing. I think we're holding those guys out. What do you think?
I could see, call me crazy, I could see the first team offense playing, like legitimately playing. Maybe not Thielen, but I could see JJ out there for one drive with Kirk, But okay, I don't see Harrison Smith playing. I don't see Zadarius Smith playing. And I don't see Danielle Hunter.
Yeah, it looks like Mateo said they just released the list of inactives, which we must have just missed as we were going live. I'll actually look that up right now so we can speak on it. Let's see here. All right, so Kirk Cousins inactive, not expected to play. So these are the inactives for today against the San Francisco 49ers. Cameron Dantzler will not be playing. Dalvin Cook is out. Patrick Peterson, Kirk Cousins, KJ Osborne, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, CJ Ham, Shandon Sullivan, Eric Kendricks, Darius Smith, Garrett Bradbury, Jordan Hicks, Chris Reed, Christian Darrisaw, Ezra Cleveland, Jesse Davis, Brian O'Neill. So the entire offensive line is sitting out. Julian Taylor, Irv Smith is obviously out. Dan Chisena, Johnny Mutt, Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, and Danielle Hunter are all not playing. So
that's fun.
Yeah, real fun for the people that came out and paid tickets for the preseason game. But hey, look, we got Lewis Seen that's playing, we got Andrew Booth that's playing, and we got those backup running backs that are going to show out. I mean, Kinney's going to show out, and I expect something from Alexander Mattison today too. We heard a lot of chitter chatter this past week from the fan base, even from Alexander Mattison on Twitter, saying, you know what, keep that same energy. You guys are talking, trade me, or Kinney should be running back number 2 over me. I think we're going to get a good little game out of Alexander Mattison today, and I think he gets more than, 2 series he got last week?
Something like that, yeah.
So the whole lot of inactives. Again, Kirk Cousins, a part of the main names. Cameron Dantzler is kind of...
That one worries me. I can't lie.
I don't think it worries me. I think that just solidified him the cornerback 2 spot. I think it was a little more open than what we expected it was going into the first preseason game. And I think I mean, Cam Dantzler's your guy, Mike. So I think Cam Dantzler's actually shown enough, not only in the last preseason game, but in training camp to solidify that spot. So I don't think it's injury or anything like that to do with Dantzler that's holding him out of this game. Do you think it's something otherwise?
It's the one that concerns me because I thought that was a legit battle. And I'm a Dantzler fan. I didn't think there was anything that really separated him from Booth that much in the Raiders game. The one that does really worry me, and it's a shame because I was hoping he'd win the center job, Chris Reed. He must have some type of serious injury with his arm here because he didn't play last week and now he's not playing again.
Yeah, and I think that by having Bradbury sitting out too, that might solidify Bradbury's spot as a starting center going into week 1 as well. I know that pains you to hear, Mike. It pains most Vikings fans to hear. But Garrett Bradbury is inactive. That means we're going to get a lot more slot men up. I think this gives him an opportunity to prove himself. Let's actually see if the 49ers have dropped their inactives yet. See if he's going up against starters or not. I don't think I see the Niners up just yet.
Some teams don't do it all the way up to kickoff. I've seen because preseason you don't have to do it hours in advance, at least on your social media. So
yeah, it looks like the Vikings are the only team that have released their inactives yet. So 49ers are still waiting. But like we said, I think we both expect Trey Lance to play a little bit today. I don't expect him to sit as much starters out as we did. But I think that also kind of goes hand in hand with us having really good work during the week in these joint practices. So I think O'Connell actually mentioned, hey, look, if we have a good week in these joint practices, I may not go out there and start all my guys. So I think that's really the case. And that may be Cam Dantzler's case as well, going back to him. He may have had a really good week in joint practices, and the coaching staff feels like, hey, Cam, you've done enough to where we don't need to send you out getting you injured or banged up in this second preseason game. Take the week off type thing. So I think that's a positive for Cam Dantzler. Dave says, Mond, more time to play. And that actually brings us to our next topic, our storylines. Kellen Mond. This is another big game for Kellen Mond. This is his opportunity to separate himself from Sean Mannion. There's also opportunity for Sean Mannion to keep a job in the NFL as an actual player. So these two guys got a lot on the line. My curiosity is, okay, obviously Kirk Cousins isn't playing today. Is Mond going to be getting the start? He's been running with the twos for the majority of the week. Now, do we expect Kellen Mond to get the start, Mike?
If he doesn't, oh God, please just let him start. I don't. What are we going to see from Sean Mannion that we don't already know? There's nothing he can do. So
yeah,
that's all.
No, it's true. I think we all are on the same boat with Sean Mannion. It's more of what is Kellen Mond going to do with the opportunity. We know what Sean Mannion is, but the future and what Kellen Mond is still up in the air. We kind of have no idea. We got a tiny little snippet of it last week, some good, some bad. Now let's see if he can progress, in this second week of preseason against a team that he's been practicing against all week long. I think he should have plenty of opportunities, and I think we take some more shots down the field this week too. We saw a whole lot of checkdowns last week and real simple stuff, which is normal for preseason. Don't sit here and think like, oh, this is going to be our offense this year and it's going to be another Mike Zimmer old school. No, it's not. Don't worry about it. It's preseason. Everything's vanilla. We're not giving away too much stuff, but I think today's game, you're going to be seeing a little bit more shots down the field. You're going to be able to see Kellen Mond kind of show off that arm that he does have, because for some odd reason, from reporters during the week, I've been hearing about Mannion's cannon of an arm. Is it just me, or have we heard multiple reports of, Sean Mannion and his cannon of an arm chucks the ball downfield to Amir Smith-Marset, and we're like, wait a minute, Mond has an arm too, right? So I think he actually shows it off this week in an actual game. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think Mond actually takes some shots downfield. What do you think Mond's going to look like today?
No, I think Mond, he's going to look good again. I think he's comfortable now. And I don't want to, talk about old things, but I did say rookies with the old regime might as well just throw the rookie season away. So,
Yeah.
especially the quarterback, he had no chance. I think we're seeing really what Rick Spielman saw in him when they drafted him last year out of Texas A&M. I think he's a really talented player as a high-level backup. I don't know what he's going to be at the next level, but I will guarantee he's a QB2 at the very least.
Yeah, and it all depends on coaching too. It all depends. As
Absolutely.
you can see, we brought in a whole new regimen. You see a change, not in only his, but Kirk Cousins as well. This entire quarterback, to be honest, this entire team, the confidence level is rose. Them having fun is rose. Them being comfortable has definitely looked more common in the locker room. So a change of scenery and a change of leadership can do a lot for a guy like Kellen Mond, especially a young guy like Kellen Mond going into his second year. When his first season, he wasn't given a chance to succeed. He was labeled a failure before he was even given a chance by his own coaching staff, I felt. So now he's under the right guidance. Not saying that, that coaching staff was the worst coaching staff in the world, but sometimes, you need some positive influence. And obviously Mike Zimmer and his coaching staff weren't the best positive influences. So we got young guys, we got a young coaching staff. I like the direction we're going. So I think Mond's going to look really good this game, and I think he gets a lot of playing time, more than a half. I think he gets a little more than what he got last week. And this he proves his shot at being the backup quarterback. So that takes us to our next topic, and our guy Rap commented on it, saying ISM is my favorite player now, and he's not. But I want to talk about the receiver group, and this is a big game not only for the quarterbacks, but also for this wide receiver room, because outside of the top three, that wide receiver 4, 5, 6, and maybe 7, depending on how many receivers we actually carry on this roster, they're up for grabs. And I'll be honest with you, and I actually tweeted about this earlier. Everybody that's on here, pretty much watches TPC and watches my podcast and know how I feel about Amir Smith-Marset. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the hype that's around him and just giving him the keys to the wide receiver 4 spot. I haven't seen it. But one thing I will say, these past couple weeks in training camp, he has shown me that he's actually producing, and that I've seen him do something at camp. So I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to lay off. Amir Smith-Marset's going to do his thing, but he hasn't separated himself from the 5th receiver, the 6th receiver, and the 7th receiver, in my opinion. I'm still a huge fan of Tristan Jackson. I think Tristan Jackson should make this team, whether that be wide receiver 5, whether that be wide receiver 6. Olabisi Johnson is a guy that's up in the air. We have no idea what's going to happen with BC, because Kirk loves BC, but BC kind of looks like the odd man out in this wide receiver room. So outside of the top 3 wide receiver spots, obviously that are locked down with KJ, JJ, and Adam Thielen, I mean, it's up for grabs for the rest of those wide receiver spots. I think ISM makes the team, Mike, but who kind of separates themselves in this game from the rest of the receivers?
This is kind of bold, but I'm going to go off what I saw last week. Albert Wilson and Kellen Mond, they got a little connection they're cooking, and I liked it. And I'll be honest, Albert Wilson probably makes this team because he does have previous punt return ability as well that he's shown when I believe he was with the Chiefs. For me, he has to make this team. We need a veteran that's in the depth. And if you look at ISM, Myron Mitchell, Tristan Jackson, none of them are veterans.
Yeah,
I kind of want Albert Wilson on this team more than most. And Olabisi, like you said, I think he is the odd man out. I do.
Yeah, unfortunately. And Albert Wilson was one of those guys that we kind of looked past. It was an early signing. It wasn't really a big deal at the time. But when you look at it, and I know it's preseason, you don't want to put too much weight in the preseason, but Albert Wilson's making a difference. He's making plays. He had 2 touchdowns last week, I believe. And he looks so weird with the number 25 out there lining up as receiver. It looks so weird. I always feel like he's coming out of the backfield for some reason. But no, Albert Wilson was one of those sneaky picks, and he's been pretty productive everywhere he's been. When he was with Kansas City, he was productive. He returned punts at that time, which that's something that kind of left my head me scratching my head is that he hasn't been practicing punt returns in training camp, and he's returned punts in both of the stops that he's been before the Minnesota Vikings. And it seems like we're kind of not set at the punt returner position. ISM looks like he's in the lead for that, but you could be the biggest ISM fan, Mike, but you'll tell me yourself that he's not looking the best at punt return right now. So I don't know why
he's the favorite.
Yeah, he's the favorite. I think he's going to end up winning it unless it comes to some drastic form and, he has a terrible game today, or he plays in the third preseason game and has a terrible game returning punts. I don't see anybody overtaking him there, but it does worry me. That does worry me, and that comes into play when it comes to these 3 to 4 wide receiver spots that are left open. One of those spots is going to go to a punt returner. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I throw one last thing I forgot to mention? Jalen Naylor, too. Like, this receiving core, people say we don't have depth. I don't buy that at the wide receiver position. They have far too much depth, if anything.
Oh, when it comes to the skill position on the offensive side of the ball, our depth is ridiculous. Our depth at running back is ridiculous, and our depth at receiver is ridiculous. And that's got to be very, very comforting to Kirk Cousins. So we just got to, a few little tweaks along the offensive line we need to work on. But I do think that punt returner spot is going to be one of these receivers, obviously, because it looks like it's coming down to ISM and coming down to Jalen Naylor. And this could be a big Jalen Naylor game at the punt return spot. Now, if he takes one to the house today, we may be talking about, something different next week of, hey, Naylor has won the punt returner spot. Now, that doesn't necessarily take away ISM's spot on this roster. But what that does is it takes away a wide receiver spot on the roster for an Albert Wilson, for a Tristan Jackson, for a Dan Chisena. A lot of people forget about Dan Chisena, but he was having a pretty good game before he got banged up against the Raiders. He had a big catch downfield, or he might have had 2 catches, if I'm not mistaken.
The one big one, though, on the 4th and 5.
One big one on that 4th and 5 downfield. So, there's a lot of guys that just kind of go over our heads that probably make this team. And if it wasn't for our great depth at the wide receiver position, they would make this team. So they got to find a way to make a team in a different way, whether that be special teams, punt returner, gunner, whatever that may be. Let's see, Joseph Ortiz. Let's go, fellas. Almost time for some football. Yes, sir. It's a big, big fight day, too. So I'm in between watching different fights. Bare knuckle, Joshua fights coming up. UFC's coming up later on. And you got the Vikings game coming up in, about an hour. So this is a big sports day, man. I'm loving it. I'm eating it all up. But that brings me to our next storyline, and then we get to our predictions and get out of your hair so you guys can soak in the pregame festivities on TV and everything. But one position group that I gotta say dominated last week was the running back position group. Whether that was Ty Chandler, whether that was Danae. Alexander Madison didn't look the greatest. He had one play that was kind of a highlight of him missing a huge hole and running into a crowd of defenders. But overall, our running backs look really, really, really good. Do you expect the same in this game, or do you expect it more to be, tailored towards the passing game today?
So this is probably going to put me in, a negative light, but it's fine. And Wong Wu and Chandler, is he hurt? I don't know if he's playing. Is he playing today? Because he was hurt.
I'll double check, but I don't think he was on the inactive list. So I know O'Connell said there was a chance he was going to play today, but he did roll his ankle early.
If he plays, they will outshine Madison today because I think they're going to use a lot of the screen game. And I've said this for a while. I like Alex Madison. He's a hard-working dude, and I love his story, and I love what he's done to overcome everything and make the NFL. But in this offense, because of our depth, I have my doubts on how much he'll actually be used. I do, and it's not to be rude to him. He's a starting running back almost on probably like 10 other teams.
Yeah.
Just they have a lot of depth there.
Well, the thing is, with Alexander Madison, if you noticed, he's not necessarily the best at spot duty, coming in for a couple plays, stepping out. He's at his best when he has a whole game to work with.
Yes.
He's going to put up 100-plus yards a game for you if you're giving him the ball 18-plus times a game. But the thing is, we got a guy like Dalvin Cook to where he's obviously going to take the majority of carries. Now you got a guy like Ty Chandler. Well, I'm not going to say Ty Chandler yet because I don't think he's going to get a lot of carries this season. I think it's going to be more Kene coming in as kind of like the pass down, third down back if it's not Dalvin. But the thing is that Dalvin's going to take up the majority of the carries. Kene's going to be the guy they want to get going in the pass game if it's not Dalvin Cook. And the thing that kind of a lot of people underestimate Alexander Madison's pass catching. He's a really good pass catcher. It may look a little clunky. It may not look as smooth as Dalvin Cook. He's really good at pass catching. He's really good at pass blocking. The little things that you may not notice, he's good at. But again, he needs the whole game to put together this great stat line that everybody's expecting him to put up. And why a lot of fans are hard on him because we have such this high expectation for Alexander Madison because when he came in for Dalvin Cook, when he got banged up, it was amazing. He was great. I think he had 2 or 3 100-plus yard games. You know, he obviously looks like a starting running back in the NFL. So a lot of people are expecting Alexander Madison to come in and there not be a difference between him and Dalvin Cook. A lot of people don't know this. There's a huge difference between Alexander Madison and Dalvin Cook, and that's not a knock against Alexander Madison. That just shows how great of a back Dalvin Cook is. But we have this deep room of running backs where each running back does something different. Dalvin Cook is a guy that can kind of do everything, but he's banged up half the time. Alexander Madison is between the tackles guy. He's going to want to run you over, jump over you. He may miss a hole from time to time. You got 2 young fools back there, and Kene and now Ty Chandler, if he continues to look the way he's looking, that Kene's the burner. You around the corner, Ty Chandler. I can't talk too much about Ty Chandler because I've only seen one game and a little bit of film on him in college. But his footwork looks great. His footwork and his vision look great in that first game. So he's got a bunch of guys that can do a bunch of things. So it all depends on what the staff is going to do and how they're going to use them. But I expect to get a heavy dose of Alexander Madison today because we heard it this time. Alexander's mad. The fan base wants these other 2 guys. We get it. But I think Alexander Madison shows out today. And I also think Kene and Ty Chandler show out as well. So,
can I throw one last thing in with Madison? I view him as ridiculously high-level surplus. Like, I think you could get something for him. And this is my thing with him. It's nothing to do with him personally. I think he's a really good player. I'm a guy who's not high on paying running backs. And I didn't love the Dalvin Cook contract. So I'm not going to want to give, in my opinion, on how I view a roster with the cap constraints that you have. I don't think it's a good idea to give Alexander Madison $5-6 million with the way this roster is being constructed. It's not a run-first team anymore. And it's just not. And even if you move on from Cook, I'd rather have 3 cheap backs than 1 expensive back and 2 quality backups. That's just the way I view it. Like the Rams, there's a reason there has not been a Super Bowl champion running back that's made more than like $2.5 million because it's a position you can make work on the cheap.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's very true. So we got some decisions to make after the season, but we got a whole season to worry about. So we'll worry about that, and we'll talk about that after the season. I don't think any trades are going to be coming as far as the running back position goes leading into the season. I don't expect to see much difference in the running back room, and I do expect us to keep 5 back. That's including CJ Ham. So CJ Ham plus those 4 backs, I think we can carry 5 backs on this drop. So that brings us to our predictions tonight. This is our fun time. We'll keep it short and get out of your guys' hair. We don't have to necessarily give a game prediction, but do you have any bold predictions for this game? Stat lines, big play, game-winning field goal. What are we getting today?
Okay, I'm going to go really bold here. Ed Ingram, pancakes, 2 guys throughout the game, not on the same play. 2 guys he'll pancake block today. And Asamoah will get some sort of turnover, either a fumble or an interception.
Okay. Now, do you think we'll win the game? I know it doesn't matter.
If Lance plays, no. If Lance doesn't play, yes.
Okay. I think if Lance plays, we'll win anyway. I think the Vikings do win. I did put a prediction on the game. So I do think the Vikings win. I think it'll be in the high 20s, pretty high scoring game. But I think Kellen Mond is on the ground today. I think he's going to use his legs a little more than he did last week. He's going to feel a little more comfortable outside of that pocket. He's going to use his legs to get more than 30 yards rushing in today's game. And I think he actually runs for a touchdown as well. And then another prediction I have is kind of hand in hand with yours. I think the defense causes not one turnovers. And I hope it's one of those rookies. I hope it's Asamoah. I hope it's Seen, Booth, one of those guys. Give them a little, shot of confidence going into the season. So those are my bold predictions to this game. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Almost week one of the regular season. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No, nothing Vikings related.
Nothing Vikings related. But all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the game. It is your boy SKOL'd exclusively here on the Purple Code. Mike Castellino, also from the Purple Code. Peace out, guys. Go Vikings.